Computer audio. Right. Ah, very good. It all comes up. If the screens are open, it shares it. Oh, is it showing everything on my screen? Okay. And that goes that way. All right. Okay. Then how do you commit it? How can I do it? Here I am. Your screen sharing is paused. Stop share. Share screen. Oh, where it disappeared. Share screen. You are sharing screen. Right. Stop video. Stop share. Oh, start video record. I need more.
The screen, you should see at the top right hand side there'll be some controls and it should be there.
I've got gallery view and enter full screen, and that's it. Apparently we're using enhanced encryption.
Yeah, that's what we're paid for. Evening, Carol. Can you hear us? We can't see you.
I can see you, James.
Oh,
yeah,
hi, Carol.
My Wi-Fi isn't brilliant, so can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, okay.
I'll see if everybody else manages to log into this. I've got my doubt.
No, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
We need 5, yes. Well, we've got 3. We're doing well.
I'm getting a blankie. I'm like an old woman. I need a blankie around my legs, so I'm sat in this corner.
I already have 2 blankies round my leg because I have cigarettes, which means the windows is open. Camera.
That's not good for you, Morgan.
No,
not good.
No,
You seen how much weight I've lost?
There's Lucy. Oh, can you hear you?
I don't think my webcam is on.
Oh,
It's okay, Morgan. We can see the picture. It's fine. Lucy's trying to figure it out.
Just staring in.
Hello.
This is all we can see her.
Is that it working?
Okay, I might have to text Lucy to tell her that we're actually looking at her.
Right, okay. Well, there you go.
I can see you.
That's a lovely pink wall behind you.
We're in my bedroom. It's my wife's choice. Oh, there's Morgan.
Am I here?
Oh, well done, G.
Should be working now.
That's because of the teenager. Say hello, teenager.
Hello.
Now you can all testify that he's alive, that you've seen him physically move and speak and all that stuff. Oops, that's not going to work.
Hello. Yes, I am here.
Go away. Go away.
Right, Lucy, can you hear us yet? Oh, no. Hello, Lucy. Hang on. just going to message Lucy on the chat.
Keep going back to the phone.
I think she's trying to get her microphone to work.
Ah, it's awfully yellow in this room.
That's your choice of decor.
Yeah, but if I put the light out, you can't see me. Look,
Oh yeah, no, that's very Halloween.
That's
Morgan.
Halloween.
Yeah, it's Halloween.
Halloween.
guys, and the sky is blue, the grass is green. Please may I have my Halloween? Well, I presume you lot are sick to death of Zoom meetings, but I've not had one of these for about 4 months.
Have you not? I know.
I'm going to have to phone her.
I spent a whole afternoon last week at my other job trying to work out how to host a Microsoft Teams meeting. I know how to join them, because I've joined loads of them, but actually hosting one and getting myself logged into it took a whole afternoon and 3 phone calls to the NHS IT department till I got it worked out.
I was asked to put together a video for a charity fund for the stables, and I spent 3 days. I went through
I'm going to
5 editing packages, one of which I bought
All right.
before I could get anything to work. 3 days.
Yeah, it's a real skill.
I know. I keep doing this because my bifocals. I can see you now. I can't see you now. I wonder where my other computer glasses
Right,
are.
we'll start in a minute. I'm just trying to get Lucy connected because there's no point in having a meeting when the secretary and treasurer can't give her the report. Sorry, Ethan troubles. Oh, are you there? Right, I'll tell you what, have Lucy here. Lucy's here. You'll be able
Hi,
to
Lucy.
you'll be able to hear Lucy when she needs to give her report, but that'll be about it. We'll just have to do it this way. If you can manage to get it working. Nah, I'm lost
Lucy,
as
I
well.
had my webcam switched off because I always have it off.
I'm using my phone.
All right, okay. That's me out of ideas.
Right, there's somebody else. Oh, Davina's coming. That's the way to do it. We're getting there.
I've no idea how to do it on the laptop.
I'm gonna put this lamp
It's not
down.
that easy when you're not used to it.
Is that Davina in the corner there, is it?
Hello, Davina. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. What a job.
Oh,
There
hello,
we go.
Davina.
There you are.
I'm going to see if I can find another pair of glasses.
Oh dear. I'm unplugging my, I hope I've got enough charge in my iPad.
We're going to go through some distractions.
Oh,
Um,
do I need a pen and paper or anything? Because I've just
No,
finished here. I've had
Just
a
your
bit of a-
glasses. Just your
Just my
glasses,
what?
Davina. Glasses.
The what?
You'll need your glasses, but you've got them.
Yes. Hi, John.
Hiya.
You okay?
Yes,
I've got
thank
you
you.
on this- That's fine. I've got you on there now. I could lean you up.
Right, if everybody looks in the bottom left-hand corner, you'll see a mute button. What I'm going to ask you to do is, unless you want to talk, can you please mute your audio, because it sometimes causes a bit of feedback.
Oh, I can't see anything, James.
Oh, we can hear you.
Mute,
There's
oh,
Jan.
mute's at the top on mine.
You've got it at the top, right?
Do you want me to mute it? Does that mean I can't speak or I can't hear you?
No, you'll hear us. It's just for feedback. So when you want to talk, you just unmute yourself.
Oh,
If it's not causing feedback and you're not sure, just leave it, because most other people's muted.
Just John.
Right,
Right,
I'll-
hello, Jan.
okay.
We'll
Hiya.
just check if Jan can hear. Yes, she can.
hi,
Right.
John. You all right?
This is me blind.
Okay, right, we'll just get started, and I'll it's strange having Lucy over here. Never mind. Right, thank you very much, everybody, for braving the Zoom. we're having a little bit of a different way of doing it tonight. We've got Councillor David Parker, he's the convener for Scottish Borders Council. And I think Craig Blakey is joining us or is with David. We're going to have a little bit about the play park that's coming. Now, what I have to say is we're recording this so we can play it back to anybody that wants to see it.
Right.
Does anybody have any objections to being recorded?
No, but I won't have a single complaint that I'm smoking. I'm in my own home.
Are you just doing the voice or are you doing our pictures, James?
We've got pictures.
Okay. Okay. Well, it's up to you.
Okay.
Whatever.
Right, so what I'll do is, if I introduce Councillor Parker.
Uh-huh. Sorry, I'm just plugging in to make sure I didn't run out of charge. And my
That's fine. Right.
attention. So don't worry, I'm still here. I'm just bending up and doing.
Right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share the plans for the play park, and Councillor Parker can give you the play park info.
Okay.
So, David, thank you very much.
Thanks, James, and thank you, colleagues, for letting me come along this evening. As James says, I'm Councillor David Parker. I'm the convener of the council, and I'm actually the elected member who is leading the delivery of the new play parks, skate parks, and pump tracks. So that the council has a programme of delivery for play parks, skate parks, and pump tracks, and it's been rolling that out throughout different communities in the Scottish Borders over the last couple of years. And this year, in 2020-21, Eyemouth has a sum of money of about £200,000 approximately set aside, which was initially earmarked for a play park. So the whole point of coming on here this evening is to begin that discussion with you to talk about how Eyemouth would like to spend that funding. Now, we're delivering, there's 4 big projects being done this year. There's Peebles, there's Eyemouth, there's Duns, and there's Newtown. Peebles will be the first, because of the way it's in the system. So it will go on site, hopefully, if all goes well, sometime in November. And we think Newtown will be the next project that will then be delivered, because it's a very straightforward project to deliver. So we think the team who are doing Peebles will just go straight on to do Newtown. So I would imagine we're looking at Eyemouth and Duns for delivery as a project, probably next year. And I would think at the moment, my guess would be around May, June starting. And these builds are usually 6 to 8 weeks, dependent on the weather. So with Eyemouth, the initial thing the council did was to look at the Bantry site. And the plans that I've sent on to the Community Council are a proposition for the Bantry. Now, I want to say at this point, the reason we've picked the Bantry site was really just to give you an idea of what can be delivered in terms of a new play park and let you see the type of things that can be done. And as we talk through tonight, we can explore whether the Bantry site is a site you want to develop or whether as a community council you've got other thoughts, because there is some time. So our initial proposals for the Bantry site, which have come from a company called Wicksteed, who basically are the supplier that we're working with as a council in partnership to deliver the 4 projects. Wicksteed came up with this initial design for what the Bantry could look like. That project there does not utilise all of the funding that is set aside for Eyemouth. So there's about £75,000 left over. And that £75,000 could be spent on another play park in the town. We could expand another one. Or if you wanted, we could start again. We don't have to do the Bantry. We could leave the Bantry to another day, and we could take all the money and create another new park somewhere else that's not been looked at so far. So really, the purpose that I'm here this evening is really to start with you to understand what the Community Council's thoughts are around play, whether you want us to do the Bantry and then spend some money on another park that you choose, or whether you want us to look again at a fresh site completely. My understanding is that the grassed area at the back of the fence here is not in the council's ownership. It's actually a private sector company, I think, that owns that, and I think they're called something Homes. I can't remember. Craig did tell me, and he apologises for not. Craig Lucky apologises for not being here tonight. He's not been able to get on. He's had some technical difficulties at his end. But if we were to look at the Bantry, the one thing I might try and do is inquire whether we can get access to that grassed area, because if we could incorporate that in better, that maybe gives us some scope to do other things and make it a little bit bigger. But that said, that's the initial design that Wicksteed came up with, and fairly standard park. So it will be fenced. It will have wet pour rubber safety surfacing, because all the parks that the council provide have wet pour safety surfacing. The designer here thinks that a ship or a boat is a good idea. You're seeing a boat there in wood. That can actually also be produced in metal. They have a metal version of that. Although they think the wood one works. And with all our play parks, we design as a council inclusive play into them. So there will be elements of this which will be suitable for young people with additional needs. We tend to go with wheelchair roundabouts. We have wheelchair trampolines in some of our areas. And we also have play panels and other things that you can interact with. So that's the initial design, and happy to hear your thoughts and discuss how you would like us as a council to take this forward with you.
Right, thank you very much, Morgan. There you go.
Right, hi. The Bantry, yes, I'm one of the few community councillors that really thinks that we need to actually spend the bulk of this money on the Bantry. But what I was going to suggest is that green bit that you've identified has been the source of epic problems, because nobody maintains it. Everybody thinks it belongs to the pub. It doesn't belong to the pub. Is there any way we could buy that bit with any of the money that was left over?
Well, if we can identify exactly who owns it, I'm more than happy to make an approach to them from an SPC perspective and see what whoever owns it, what they say, and whether they'd be willing to either give it away or whether they would be willing to sell it, and if they'd be willing to sell it at a reasonable price. So more than happy to look at it. And I think, yeah, I know the Bantry site. I've been on the site, I've been down and have a good look at it. So I do think it would make sense if we could try and capture it and get it into the park. So yeah, very happy to look at it.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else, any question?
I take it the green piece is the bit that's just below the entrance to go into the tavern.
Yes.
Right. Because it looks a lot bigger on the plan than what it actually is.
That's a bit, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It does. Right.
James, can I make a comment?
Yeah.
Morgan, I hate to kind of, I'm just presenting an alternative viewpoint that's been given to me by someone that I was chatting to about this, and her view was that the Bantry was a very exposed site, that when she goes there with her grandson, unless it's a beautiful summer's day, people do get cold very quickly when they're hanging about in that area. And her view was that an alternative site and putting all the money into one alternative site would be the better option, and that would attract people into the town. That the Bantry site, as it stands, is okay, and having a bigger site elsewhere might be better use of the money. I'm not arguing against what you're saying, Morgan, at all. I'm just putting the alternative viewpoint into the pot, really.
And it's a viewpoint I've been given a lot, because I am on the minority here but the whole point about the Bantry is it's always full of kids. It doesn't matter when you're there. It could be raining, it could be pouring. It is the most used playground. And also it's a facility for the tourist area of the town that looks dreadful because of that green strip that's untended and neglected and filled with cigarette butts. So the key part of Eyemouth, it's where we bring our visitors in. is also the most used park. So to me, it makes no sense whatsoever to not try and make the Bantry the best it possibly can be for both the Eyemouth kids and the tourism industry.
And you make very valid points, and I absolutely accept them. I just wanted to present the other viewpoint, and I have no say in this, really. It's you guys that have the say in it. It's just that this is what's been presented to me by someone I was speaking to about it. Just wanted to.
I've got my teenage sons here in the minute, and they're shaking their head going, well, the Bantry is hardly ever used. It's always Dean Head Park. So,
I
agree. You know, they're in school.
But then the case of to bring tourism in, I don't think they would go into a housing estate to go to a park. They would go down the town to the beach.
Yes.
You know, so it just depends on what angle you're going to go for.
Yeah, I agree with Jam. Yeah, I've heard
You
the
know?
same. I've heard that should be spent on the one up at Dean Head.
The people that come to me basically ask me, we don't want the money spent on the Bantry Park. It'd be a waste of money. It would be better off in a different park in the different area in the town. I've had a lot of people coming to me saying that.
Me too. Yeah, and the Bantry is very exposed, so it would have to be treated because of the salt water, everything that you put there. I think you've got to remember, you've got the seas, especially the heavy seas we've been getting, washing all the sand, washing stones, everything. When it's rough, it can't be used. So therefore it would have to be, you know, stuff that wouldn't get affected by the salt. You know, I don't know what wood would be like. It would have to be treated. Don't know if metal would be better. I just think there's a few things to take into consideration about the situation.
Well, moving forward with that, me and Lucy, we've done quite a lot of stuff asking people's opinions on social media and stuff, and we've spoken to a lot of people for the last 2 years since we spoke to Jason Headley when this was all initially put forward. And there were sort of 3 different ideas of what people wanted. One of them was the Bantry being redone locally wasn't seen as a priority because it didn't sort of, it gave nothing to the town from a local point of view. However, from a tourist point of view, that is the main part. So there was the 2 ways of looking at it. The other 2 was there was a large voice for extra things at the Dean Head State Park, but there's very little space left up there for anything, and they've got a really good park. And the third option was having a destination play park like everywhere else in the Borders has had. And one of the main areas identified for that would be green space behind the primary school, which eventually would leave a destination play park next to the new primary school. A nice setting. So that was the sort of 3 options. So it's maybe a case of SBC would have to go the public and ask them, giving them 2 or 3 options of what they would prefer. Keeping in mind, Dean Head does have the largest number of people living at it. They do have a pretty good play park compared to the rest of the town. Would that be an option to have SBC do a sort of survey on what people want?
Yeah, no, we can do that, and we could have a look to see what people want. We'd have to think about. So it's very difficult at the moment to do public formal consultation. So normally you'd set up a couple of meetings in a public hall or whatever, bring some plans along and have a chat with people. You really can't do that just now because of the current COVID situation. But we are starting to do some online consultations in relation to schools. So I can absolutely throw that in the mix, and we could certainly look at doing a wider community consultation, probably after Christmas, albeit it will be done on Zoom and on Teams probably, would be the way we'd have to look at it.
Well, we're looking at, with PHA, we're looking at getting some tablets to help people that don't have access to the internet or computers and stuff. So we could do surveys and help people get their opinion across. So it's something online it's going to have to be. But, you know, if that's something that SBC is willing to look at, we could have the technology ready to make sure that everybody that wants a say will actually get a say.
Yeah, no, happy to look at that and design something and then come back to you with a proposal as to how we carry out that consultation.
Kyle?
Yeah, how about another option where, because it does get so much use, and like everyone stated, a lot of the things that are obvious, because it gets a lot of use, but it also gets a lot of debris and trash and stuff. What if is there a way to do the rubber matting there and maybe repair the play pieces that are actually on there, so it's not quite the eyesore, it's safer, that way it can be, you know, blown out with a leaf blower, so there's not broken glass or cigarette butts, you know, to get the sand out of there, but it's safe, but still kind of been refreshed. Is that a possibility?
So you can wet pour around existing equipment, but I looking at the site, I suspect that would use up quite a chunk of the money. The wet pour itself is very expensive, so you know that I don't know how much of the 200,000 that would use, but the wet pour will be quite a significant financial element of it, because it's not cheap stuff.
Okay, Morgan.
Sorry, there is a fourth option. Hi, Kyle. That area, which is quite small, in fact, in terms of parks and leisure equipment these days, in lots of very big parks in the big cities, they have the water jets like they've got at Spittal, where it's the same surface, but all it is a little water park. That might be an option for the Bantry, that it's not a park. It's just that we put in something that's more fitting for it to be right next to the sea. Because it used to be a swimming pool, it used to be a paddling pool. And apparently they had the same problem with broken glass in the paddling pool. But that's why they do those jetty things that I'm sure have a proper name. Just a thought.
Splash Park.
That's the one.
So I think everybody's agreed that nobody knows exactly what we want and what we need. Yes, the Bantry Play Park does need replaced, but there is a feeling in the community that that's maybe not the right place to put it.
There'd be a possibility of putting it in the new estate up the top, or was that too close to the one at Dean Head, or if they're planning to build more houses over the other side by the high school, or do you know what I mean? So if there's a new area, is there any other possible areas?
Well, it would need to be central to the town to keep it for everybody, because there is a disproportionate amount of park equipment on one side of the town compared to the other.
Yeah.
So we need to be mindful of that and make sure that everybody's, even though one side of the town's got a smaller population, it is earmarked for housing development, so that population is going to grow eventually, so we need to keep that in mind as well. Anybody else? Any questions or input?
I reckon you'll get a right mixed response if you put it towards the public, because a lot of the people in Eyemouth will probably want to be quite selfish and keep it for the town rather than, but then you'll get the aspect of the shopkeepers who basically want it in the town to keep the tourists in the main part of the town, you know, so you're going to get a right mixed view.
I guess it's trying to tick both those boxes. Yeah. It's the ideal solution, isn't it, that will serve both those purposes. And I think we need to think about, you know, accessibility and parking and all that sort of stuff as well, you know, and I think the Bantry's got a plus there, isn't it, because it's right next to the Co-op car park, and you know,
it has toilets.
Yeah, So there are pluses to that, yeah.
And it has you know, parents can sit outside the pub and keep an eye on their kids. It's got the co-op. You know, that's why there's a play park there.
Yeah,
it is a central element.
Oh, well, I think we've got nowhere there. No definitive answer. But I think it's pretty clear that what we need is a consultation done by SBC to get an idea of what people actually want and narrow it down to get the right decision made.
Yeah, a majority decision. Yeah.
Yes.
Would it help before we do any consultation if Craig and I were to come down to Eyemouth and have a site visit and just look at the other potential sites that are out there? Because it might be that more on site, we might be able to form a view on whether some of them are good or bad, sort of thing. I don't know if that would help at all, but we've been site visiting everywhere else. We can't come down to Eyemouth if there's a couple of community councillors want to meet us and just talk us through which other sites might be an option.
I mean, the big play parks that have just been built, I can't even remember which towns they are in, but there are a lot of people from Eyemouth that go up there to take their kids for the day to play in the park, and then they go around them towns and do a little bit of shopping or whatever. So I have a mixed sort of view about whether it should be on the Bantry, because it is limited space, and I mean, the view that kids don't go to the park when it's raining is not true, but it's the parents that don't want to take their kids to the park when it's raining, and they want it closer to where they are so that they don't have to walk, you know. So there's a lot of mixed views that I've been giving, but what I'm saying is the other towns in the borders, I don't think it would have mattered where they put them in that town. They've basically, because it's been advertised that they're open and they're brand spanking new and look at all this, they've basically took their kids, 40 miles to go see this park. And it could be in the middle of a housing estate, you know? So, I don't know.
I think
Lucy.
I think if we get people out for a site visit and then at least the options there for them, what's suitable and what's not, then you can put it to the public and say, well, these are your options, this is where it can go, where do you want it? Rather than us guessing where it's going to be people or not.
Yeah.
That seems like a sensible way forward, doesn't it? To do a bit of a feasibility study on alternative sites.
Yep. Right, Morgan, one last.
I forgot.
Right. Well, just so we don't keep Councillor Parker all night, I think we'll agree on a site visit.
Yes.
And we'll arrange that in an email if that's okay.
Yeah, James, I'll email you probably tomorrow or Wednesday with some times that suit me and Craig, and a little bit of the ground rules around how you have a safe site visit with COVID-19 about, and then we'll get that set up fairly quickly. I'd quite like to do that quite quickly. So we'll get that set up as quickly as we can, and then we can reflect after the site visit about what the next steps are. And I'll certainly speak to our comms guys and start to have a chat with them about what they think a consultation might look like and how we're best to do that. And again, I'll come back to you with some suggestions on that.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Great.
And if you want to run away from this Zoom meeting, we'll see you next week. Thank you very much.
Have a good meeting. Bye.
Bye, David. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Right. Now, while I get my bit of pepper. Oh, Kyle, you get to say hello.
I couldn't log on my account, so I had to use my wife's to get on. So sorry I was late.
No, that's fine, don't worry. Right, we're just going to plod through this. We're going for minute approval of online meetings. I circulated that around everybody in the community council. Did you all read it? Uh-oh, there's some blank faces. Did nobody get it?
When did you send it? In the PDF?
I'm having to pull it up on my phone, so hang on.
Right, okay, we can't approve it if nobody's read it. What I'll do is send it out again. We'll have to approve it at the next meeting. Okay, it's just, okay, right, chair report. Everybody ready? Right, BMX track. We're getting there. We've had the builders out. Gillespie Builders has been rolling it for us. Wrong bit of paper. And Eyemouth Golf Club, the two greenkeepers, two Keiths, they've been helping. They've been moving some of the soil before it got rolled. Last bunch, standing, raking and digging. Had some kids out. It's difficult with number of households limited and distancing and all that. It's taken forever. But we're reclaiming it after it disappeared during the lockdown. So that's a positive. And also have to say, Wally Gray, who helped us initially with the project, I have to give condolences to Wally because his wife sadly passed away. So gave us a lot of help last year. Is everybody okay if I send a card and something? I don't think you send flowers to men. I'll come up with something to send them. Everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
Right. So that was sad. Right. We done a pop-up larder last Friday. We're working with Reston and Auchincrow and Grant's House with the community fridge. So we have the volunteers for the community fridge. They're working 6 days a week. Not everybody working 6 days a week, but the project's running for 6 days a week. We're doing the collections, drop-offs, and we are based at Reston Hall. We're doing food parcels and top-up parcels on a weekly basis. We are hoping to get in the Eyemouth Community Centre probably January now. I have been talking with, now let's see, get the names right here. June Jackson for Live Borders. Live Borders staff are all coming back off furlough. So we're slowly getting all the people that we used to communicate with in place so we can get some answers and move forward with the projects that we're working on. Obviously the community fridge, we used that to start the safeguarding stuff and it's gone non-stop since. So that's one of the things that's been part of the recovery work in the area for the 2020 disaster. I'm cheery tonight, aren't I? So the pop-up larder went very well. We had Tom Nisbet, we used his van and brought a ton of food down, set up in Kirk Square. We've got a lot of support for local businesses. David McNeil for a Fresh Choice is one of the new ones. So anything he's got, it's still usable, but obviously not its absolute freshest. We get that for the fridge. The co-op, the old co-op, we get a lot for there, including ton of chicken. I never want to see chicken ever again.
I had 50 to 60 rolls this morning. Picked up last night, so yeah.
Well,
there was
at least it was only 30 packs of chicken this time.
Yes, yeah.
All right. Applications for various funding opportunities. There's funding that I normally apply for. That's all gone just now, and it's all COVID related stuff. So we've had to adjust what we do accordingly. The projects, to keep them running, we do need to change the way they're managed because there's a much more rigid structure needs put in place. We can't just say to the school kids, right, we're going to be here on this day, turn up if you want. We can't, I can't say, right, let's have a barbecue. I can't do all the fun stuff we used to do. So it's very difficult, but I'm getting through the application forms and trying my best to see what we're able to get to support the project. We've been really lucky that the wind farms have supported us a lot. The paths, for example, we got 2,000 and something. Lucy, was it 2,000?
2,600.
2,600 for the Falago Wind Farm Fund. And that was for the year that done the initial cutback and opening up of all the walkways. We had to have them 2 metre width. So at the time, Terry Smith was the only business that was working that could do that. So we gave the contract to Terry. We all agreed on that. He's had the contract for the whole of 2020, and he continues to get paid, I think it's every 2 weeks or something, to go along and keep the paths open. So it's been good to be able to keep the paths open and wide enough and accessible for everybody. So that was a good one. Right, where am I? Our shopfront scheme, we need to, oh, sorry, Morgan, go on then.
I've remembered. We need to ask the Herring Queen committee about the Bantry and actually make sure that they're on board as partners as well, because the Herring Queen is centred around that space. And it seems only right that we include the Herring Queen in this is quite equal. Sorry, that was just occurred to me because I was thinking about all the times there were more kids than there was play park.
Yeah, something we could look at that, because if we end up with a destination play park on a giant green site, Herring Queen might have more space. So something to think about. Right, I've written that down.
And less chance of having roads closed if they have it in a better area.
It could be, we could end up creating something much better. We'll see. Okay, further COVID expenditure. We have some money. Lucy's going to go over the money at some point after I finish babbling. We've got some COVID funds left, but it's all earmarked for mileage for the volunteers running back and forward to Reston and delivering parcels. Obviously, normally the community fridge project runs on about £30 a year. So suddenly have to work out a Reston and cover everybody's fuel costs. It's a big whack. We also put money in with Reston, Auchincraw and Grant's House to bulk up the fair share order. So we've got a larder type setup that will be moved into the shelves next to the fridge. It'll be kept stocked up by Reston. We'll just have to run up there because obviously in the community centre we won't have a lot of space to store bulk stuff, but Reston do have a lot more space. So it's a good partnership we've got there with them, and we've been really lucky to sort of get everybody together like that. Community campus, we've got a new person, Leslie Munro, who's in charge. A lot of the officers at SBC left to go to SOSET. Is it SOSET, Helen?
Yep, South Scotland Enterprise Agency.
It changed its name that many times, isn't it?
SOSA, yeah.
Right, so the new person for the community campus project is Leslie Munro. She's spoken to her an email. She's quite keen to get everybody included and moving forward with the whole project as it sort of reevaluates and restarts and takes in what the community want. There's been a few.
Has there actually been a decision on what they wanted?
No, hang on. Right, the things that were put in the papers, sort of SBC news release, they put forward options as examples of what might be available, and they were not options of here are 3 options, that is what you get to choose from. A lot of people got confused with that as SBC have decided there's your 3 options, take it or leave it. That's not what it was meant as. So it's important to get across that the options put forward were examples of what might be after the consultation period. Is that right?
Yes, that's how I understand it, James.
Yep, right, doing well here. Right, shopfront scheme. We've still got the same hold-ups we had because of 2020. We've still got the time extended. Most of the money's allocated. We've kept think it's £700 to the side, just in case anybody overruns 2020. The ones that are complete are the pet shop, Looks Ahead, Lofts, and the Jewelers, which is Chapel and Peaks, I think it's called. Zahid is looking at his general store. He's looking at getting a move on with his very soon. And the one above Retweed, that's getting started now. The Cavern are waiting on planning permission to have their windows replaced because they're in a conservation area. So a lot of the time's been taken up with getting the plans drawn up. Make sure they meet all the guidelines for being in a conservation area. Right, and that is the chair's report. Any questions? Awesome, I like this. You're more chatty when we're all in person. We'll get through this in no time. Morgan?
Well, it's not so much a question as to point out that in the, oh good, my tea has arrived, to point out that we said how quickly we got through things, and a lot of the reason we got through things quickly is because we've been doing so much, and you've been doing so much, and there's been so many work hours gone into this. So once again, I think we should all congratulate ourselves on all our hard work.
Okay. We'll just sit in silence while you do that. Thank you. Right. And I'm getting feedback on this from somebody eating a bag of crisps. And I think it's you. I mute you.
Hello?
Right. Sorry, Jan, I've muted you because your hand up if you want to speak, because there was a bit of feedback coming back, okay? Right, Lucy?
No, Morgan's still saying something.
Oh, sorry, Morgan, were you still saying something?
I do actually have something to report back on, but we haven't been able to do so because of COVID, which was at the very beginning of lockdown, we had a complaint about our community council page. Now, everybody who was there at the time will remember that when we set up the community council page, we agreed that it was just going to be for information only because nobody had enough time to do anything else. And it was also agreed that if anybody put anything contentious on, it would just be deleted by whoever was on at that time. During the free and frank exchange of views that were going on due to COVID business, we received a formal complaint asking us whether what our moderation policy was, could we track who had deleted what, and could we discuss with them why? And I took it back to a few of you and we discussed it. And we didn't have a moderation policy apart from anybody delete anything they feel is contentious, and we couldn't track who did it. So that seemed to be unacceptable when it was put like that. So after many hours of investigating the depths of Facebook, we found a way of doing a community information post that did not involve us getting into 16-hour-long arguments about why the bus was late. And being accused of being unprofessional because Nicola Sturgeon doesn't post under her own name on Facebook, and therefore neither should we. So we went ahead with that. Unfortunately, the person who'd made the complaint, we'd closed down the old group, and I'd done that before I realised that I then lost access to that message. So I never could respond to them. So we reopened the new Facebook book. Great, there's no moderation because there's no comments, and it is just an information page, and it seems to be working very well. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you very much for doing that, Morgan, because I know it took you absolutely ages to fight your way through that. And I tried for days, and it's just, yeah.
You still forget to turn the comments off.
No, I forget to put my shoes on some days.
I know your comments off.
Yeah, I'm naughty. It's fine. Just keep at me. Right, we will move on. Lucy, for it's either a treasurer or a secretary report. I think it's treasurer report.
I've got a note to report for the secretary.
Right.
Right, the opening balance was £24,203.65. Expenditure, Community Council 309.42, shop fronts 1,260, paths 1,400, enhancement group £70.50, BMX track £27, signage £417, and COVID was £7,618.70. Total expenditure was £11,102.62. Income, paths 2,600, BMX track £1,390.10, ACE £225, and COVID £9,449.71. Total income was £13,664.81. Ring fenced amounts: ACE £1,326.58, town signage £1,417.94, Memorial Walk £101.30, shop front grants £16,908.85, BMX track £1,470.22, drone hill funding, I'm sure that's for the BMX track, £1,882.91. SBC floral grant £179.50. Paths £1,200. Community fridge £14.52. COVID £1,932.99. Donations £566.67, available to Community Council minus £235.64, and the closing balance is £26,765.84.
Well done. I know how difficult it is to do them. Right. Just have to say, Lucy, seriously well done, because we've had so much for the beginning of lockdown turn through, and I know there's still more to do. So well done at staying sane.
I don't know about that.
Well,
well done at staying alive and still functioning.
Yes. Right, I have on the agenda HA planning. Now, myself and John, who is in my bubble because we're related, so he's allowed to be here. He's single. We're getting feedback again. And it's you again. That's it. Don't know why it's doing that. Right. We had a meeting with BHA about development of houses along the avenue.
Flats.
Yeah, blocks of flats. We were supposed to send the letters out telling people, but I haven't heard any uproar from anybody about it. So I'm not sure. I don't think they've sent the letters out yet. So I think they might be a little bit behind, so we're not going to go into that. Just give them the chance to
tell people first.
Yeah, let them tell people, and then, you know, don't shoot the messenger. So we'll over that. Any other business? I'm going to start that one. Right. For the community woodland, so some folk might have noticed we've been busy pushing on with that. We have a project which will bring into the town 80 to £100,000 over the course of 2 or 3 years. I think it was it 2 years, they said? I think she's loaned out. Was it 2 years?
2 years.
2 years. Our contacts, we've got new contacts again at SBC, and one of the girls is Trisha Hill, and she has been really good and really on the ball. So if any of the councillors would like to pass on, thank you to Tricia Hill, because she's actually really on the ball and good at her job. She always gets back to us. And when you get people like that, you need a little pat on the back.
Much appreciated.
It is much appreciated. So we've also got Jim Knight, who was formerly SBC. He retired. He's never been as busy since. He now does extra hours for Borders Forest Trust. So he's involved in basically making sure that I don't make any mistakes and that I've got all the bases covered, because it's quite a complicated project to put together. You gonna sleep, Gina?
Just a bit, sorry.
Fine, just winding you up. We've got David Kennedy from Forest Direct. He is the chap who's employed and paid from a fund within SBC that's been held for our woodlands. There's £7,000 or £8,000 to pay for the work he's doing, which is putting together a package. It's called the Wyatt, and he monitors the area. He looks at it, sees what needs done. We get a list back of what needs done, and it's quite a complicated way of getting the money to start with. But I think what I'll do is get David to do a presentation to everybody on the community council at the next meeting, because he's really good at explaining it. We've done our first consultation. We've done it at the, it went well considering it's 2020, people actually turned up. So we got a lot of good feedback. We had one or two negative, which weren't completely relative to the project itself. So most of the comments in relation to the project were positive. That was really good. We got people who live with their gardens backing onto the woodland that's going to be the community woodland, really keen to get involved and help. So when people offer to help, rip their hand off as quick as you can. So that's what we're doing. Like I say, I'm going to get David to give you all maybe make a YouTube video so the whole town can see it. We've got another survey to do with SurveyMonkey. I've already asked your permission to pay for that because it costs money per year. So I think we'll be able to utilise that, considering we can't do proper consultation. So that's the community woodland. Any comments on community woodland, Helen? All good? All good. Right, I think we've done the extract. I will say again, thanks to Eyemouth Golf Club and Gillespie Builders, because they have been really good in the rain and wind and cold. So then, just going down my list here. Terry Smith still continuing to do the paths under the paths. Davina, is there any problems with the paths? Have we got any sinkholes to fill?
I went up the woodland yesterday, and I think he'd just done it, and it's definitely wider and it's quite good. And I must say, since lockdown, that is the most people I've seen on it. A lot of people are using it, a lot. A lot of people drive actually to the area, you know, just off the recycling bit, and they seem to park their car there and walk their dogs either right the way around or go around the back of the, you know, the recycling and come out at the bottom. And he's kept that cut, and it's really nice because there's a lot of trees there, and it's like a little tunnel, and it's been lovely in the summer. And you could either carry on up to the path, and a lot of people, so it's quite handy for maybe folk that, you know, need to drive for different parts of the town. So I'd say it's getting very well used. And I must admit, at first there was quite a lot of dog poo, but it seems to have improved a bit. So I hope folk are lifting and taking it, especially when it's looking as nice and clean. And the lawn in the same, it's been kept, and it's been extremely busy. It's been well appreciated.
Nice to be appreciated.
Yeah. The only thing a few folk have mentioned, I don't think it's anything to do with us, but you know how the trees overhang the trees that go up the side. There's a lot of growth coming in, but I don't know if that's Mr. Simpson.
I think that's
it's up to, and I don't think it'll happen. But that's the only issue sometimes is the overhang when you're keeping it as as well.
Well, I'll ask Terry if he could have a look at that and see what money we've got left in the budget.
Yeah.
I'm sure we've got enough just to get Terry to go with a poll card and.
Aye, I think the engineers that do the electric, they come sometimes and clip some of the bushes back. Yeah. But apart from that, I don't think anybody else does it. It's just in case it does get a bit overgrown. Yeah. Because you're doing well. It's looking really good, and considering the wet that we've had the last wee while, it's actually not too bad at all.
Good. Yeah. If there's any bits that need done, we do have enough stuff to fill in and patch holes and stuff, and we've got funding, so just use a shout.
Yeah, I will do. Yeah.
Right, we went over the community fridge.
Is there any more progress on the fence up the Loaning?
The planning application, the retrospective planning application, is still sitting on SBC's website, not decided, I think. Is that right, Helen? You're muted. Oh, you're muted. What are you?
Sorry, ask that again, James. Sorry, I just drifted there for a second.
Are you watching Coronation Street? The planning application for the Loaning, the fencing up the top of the Loaning. That's still sitting in limbo.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything. Sorry.
Could that be looked at? Could you maybe have a little push? Because from both everybody's sort of point of view, that's holding back any work that Banco's going to be doing up there.
So it's the fencing at the top of the Loaning?
Yeah, there was a problem with Ice Store, I think the business name is, and it had been sold a bit of ground by SBC, but on their plan, it didn't highlight the Loaning as a walkway. So there was a bit of confusion and a bit of annoyance from people that use the path. So
okay, I'll speak to Paul Duncan and just see where it is in the planning process.
Yeah.
Sitting on the website, it says status unknown, so it hasn't been decided yet.
Okay.
Right. Sorry, Jan, I've muted you again because I keep getting feedback.
Sorry, yeah.
Okey-doke. All right. I forgot to say at the beginning, we're recording this and we're going to play it back to Billy and Jim. So although they're not part of the meeting, they will see it, and I'm sure Billy will tell me all these points of view, and I will make sure I get back to everybody. And we'll just wait until we get the tablets from, hopefully from DHA, so we can take them and they can watch the video when they've got their own spare time. That's if Billy actually touches the tablet, because it's modern technology. Right, so I'm going to squint this because John's doing the enhancement group.
Oh.
Did you notice he looks like he's been sleeping?
I'm scribbling. We had a very successful showing of the daffodils this year, because we planted, I don't know, hundreds of pounds worth, £800 worth.
Thousands of things.
Right, I've got a great working relationship with Caroline Laith and her group from the Eyemouth High School. So the area that especially looked good was up the new road at the 4 road ends. Even during lockdown, we've been busy replanting, and especially during the first 3 months of lockdown, if you remember, that's when we had all the sunshine. We had to go every second or third night and water the plants. You remember, Lucy? We had done a lot of watering.
Bottles and bottles of water in the boot.
But we don't have to water them at the moment, so because we've got excessive water. So in this autumn, we've also been sort of plants, primroses and picking up things, and then we're gone and purchased a large number of daffodils again because Caroline Laith wants us to work again with her young couples at the horticultural department. So we've got, oh, God knows how many daffodils. We've got so many packs of tulips, and we've got 400 alliums planted. So, and then somebody went and donated many bags of daffodils that they didn't want to use. So we'll be doing a lot of digging.
Can't have too many daffodils.
I know. So yes, we're keeping it, and it keeps me out of trouble, and we're keeping fit. That's about it.
That it?
Aye.
No mentioning that they've actually grown and brought on all the plants that have been out this year. Sneaking about. All on their own. So I've been busy with other things. I spent far too much time with Jan Week. Morgan?
What finally happened about who hit our new sign 2 weeks after our new sign got put up?
That's the piece, and give them the piece of the car, an example of what the car colour was. As far as they were concerned, the insurance would pay for SBC's insurance would pay for the replacement. I think we actually paid for it ourselves, didn't we?
We paid for it because it's not SBC's sign.
No, I just wondered. I mean, because I'd seen the new sign up, but it was like, did we? It's like Diana's car in the tunnel. Did we ever find the owner of the broken bit of?
Yeah. It must have been in a terrible mess.
Yeah. Oh, he was all right, or she was all right.
Yeah.
Right. Is there anything else?
James, can I bring something up under AOB?
Yes, you can.
James and I have had an exchange of emails about the prospect of Eyemouth becoming a plastic-free town. And this is an initiative that's been organised by See the Change, and they've contacted me asking for support. I've got a motion going to council this week just to do that, to support them in their endeavours. The issue is that, well, James came back and said that the problem in terms of plastic free was about the amount of packaging you have for the community fridge, James, and a lot of that is plastic packaging. I went back to them with that problem, and really that isn't a problem because you're not purchasing that. And of course, they're also in favour of minimising food wastage and using food. So the fact that, you know, that's out with your control would not mean you couldn't support them. So it was just to kind of say that that's still, you know, that wouldn't prevent you from kind of giving your support to that initiative. And they've got a lot of kind of support from local businesses and the schools and so forth to try and reduce or minimise the use of single-use plastics in the town.
It's kind of hard to do that at the minute because with me doing the community fridge, we used to get one clear carrier bag to put all the croissants in and things. But now they're all individually wrapped in plastic boxes because of COVID.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you, Jan. You know, and with my other job, with my health visiting job, every visit that I'm doing, it's a plastic penny and gloves and masks. So I know that we're up against it at the minute, but it's just about a commitment to doing the best we can, I guess, to kind of minimise it. And yes, we'll have to kind of stick to the COVID rules and PPE, and, you know, there are things out with our control at the minute, but just for the things that are within our control, to do our utmost to kind of minimise the use of single-use plastic. So it was just to kind of put that out there and have a think about it.
Right, Morgan, you had your hand up, sorry.
Yes, I'm sorry, I'm going to have a rant about this. I do apologise. Plastic is one of the most wonderful fabrics and textile technologies in the world. It keeps millions of people alive every day. The problem is not the plastic, the problem is what we do with it. And we do not need, I personally do not need to be told that I should be contributing to a plastic-free Eyemouth when that is physically, virtually, and medically and industrially impossible.
I agree that it's not possible. It's just about trying to reduce the single-use plastic. The three things that they are committing to is that they are working towards reduction of single-use plastics, and you know, I think that's a reasonable aim.
I just think it's a waste of time at the minute. It's not going to be for another 2 to 3 years to be able to even start thinking about that because of the current crisis.
I totally accept that, Jan. And we are in a difficult position at the minute because of COVID. But again, I think there are single-use plastics out there, and it's just trying to minimise the use of that. And it's things like, you know, refilling water bottles and you know, just cutlery in schools, and so I think the council is on board with it. And Sandy H is saying
that at the moment. My kids go swimming, they have to take 2 or 3 water bottles with them because they're not allowed to refill them because it's unsafe because of COVID. So I wouldn't be wanting to support this at this time because of all the reasons why we can't at the moment.
The other thing is that we already are extremely responsible in our approach to single-use plastic. It's not that, oh, look, suddenly it's occurred to us that, you know, we shouldn't be looking at these things. I mean, one of the big things about the fridge pre-COVID was that we could take things out of plastic bags and put them into the fridge in proper containers so that they weren't even going into landfill with food rotting in the plastic. You know, so we were at that nitty-gritty level of taking plastic off products in order to make sure that even though they did go into landfill, they went in without the
plastic. Yeah.
Well, without food.
I acknowledge the issues you're all raising, but I think that the principle of the thing is still quite sound, in my opinion anyway, that in terms of just trying to minimise or to make every effort. And I agree with you, Morgan, that we are already doing that, but it's just kind of signing up to that, if you like, so that
I'd be happy to sign up to reduce plastic.
That's what I'm asking, I guess, is reducing. We can't eliminate. You're absolutely right. Plastic is around us all over the place, and in a lot of cases has a really, you know, good function and a viable function and a valuable function. But I think it's about signing up to trying as best we can to minimise the use, particularly of single-use products. And yes, with the understanding that in the present circumstances that's not easy, but it's just trying as far as we can to reduce the amount of single-use plastics that are out there. Because, you know, the evidence is really clear. It's like for every 3 tons of fish in the sea, there's a ton of plastic, and increasing, you know, and regardless of how careful we think we are, people aren't. It's like the dog food thing. People aren't always careful, and things do end up in the wrong place, you know, and it's
council sending it on boats to abroad, and then the boats deciding to tip it out halfway there to save money. It's not genuine households in Eyemouth that are causing the problem.
Fishermen.
Save time on this. Hang on. I told you it would be a tough sell for that one. I told you.
Well, you know.
One thing that I said to you in email that needed addressed more than anything, if you want to make a plastic-free town, you have to get the bigger supermarkets.
Yeah.
And
I think that's the issue, that when I took that, she said, you know, that is out with our control at the moment. And obviously there's a campaign to reduce the packaging that's used in supermarkets, and some of the supermarkets are further down the line than others with this.
Do you not?
That's out with our control.
Can you not get another supermarket in Eyemouth?
Does nobody remember what it was like before we had all this wonderful plastic to wrap our food in? Does nobody remember how much food went to waste and meat, and how expensive it was to get things? Because God, not everybody could even afford to go to the butcher because he had to keep it in special things and cut it, and oh God. And then the supermarkets came along and everybody could buy really cheap, good stuff. If we get rid of all that plastic, the price of our food will rocket.
So,
Right.
Why do we need to see the change?
Well, they are the organisation that's leading on this particular initiative.
But there's tons of organised leading it. You know, Alex Brown, Alice, whatever his surname is. You know, I never see her in Eyemouth. You know, I'm down the beach nearly every day picking up rubbish off the beach. You know, I hear what she's wanting to do, and she says she's going to do things. But it's more to do with what Alice is going to get for funding than what she's actually physically going to do.
I think that the accreditation comes via Surfers Against Sewage, and that's the organisation that's the kind of lead organisation in this. And See the Change are in communication with them to try and, you know, get Eyemouth accredited as a plastic-free town. And that means just working towards this reduction in single-use plastics.
I think the town can do it without the help of See the Change, though.
Yes, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Okie dokie. We'll not go down this road just now. What we'll do is we'll take a show of hands. All those for supporting plastic-free Eyemouth? Well, I don't have to ask if anybody's against it then. It's pretty unanimous. Sorry, Helen, I told you it'd be a tough sell.
Can everybody also raise their hands if they agree that getting a better use and recycling of plastic and reducing it where we can is a good thing?
The recycling in the Scottish Borders is absolutely rubbish compared to the rest of the country, like other places. I was up in the Highlands on holiday the other weekend, and their recycling is very strict. And if you don't follow it, you can actually get fined for not following the recycling.
Yeah. So I mean, we have got the Sustainable Development Committee in the council now, and I sit on that committee, and I'm really trying to keep it on the agenda almost every council meeting to kind of say something about moving this agenda forward, because I think it's really easy to let it kind of slide and no action happen. And so we've declared a climate emergency, which is fine, but that's on its own isn't going to do anything. It's about trying to keep it on the agenda and keep some action going. So that's
right. Kyle?
Yeah. Just to be clear, you know, Morgan, I love plastic. I use plastic for all kinds of things. But yes, we are to be good stewards of where we live. But yeah, so much of this comes back to how we dispose of it. And there's just not enough bins to dispose or to hold the recycling, because we are a tourist town and most people that come don't know where the bins are, so they will put it on a windowsill, they'll put it on a bench, they'll just leave it wherever.
Yeah, they do. They do. Yeah.
We just need to,
in the bins.
Yeah, we just need more bins. I mean, that's if we want to have an actual change in, you know, what's going into the landfills and what's being left on the beach and everything else, that's the first step. That's where we need to.
That's a really good idea, Kyle. And maybe what we need to do is say to Helen, to say to See the Change, that it's not that we don't want to support them, it's just that we're looking in a different direction. And maybe we could try and see if we could somehow source one of those machines that when you put plastic bottles into it, you get 5 pence tokens back. Remember the way we used to do with glass?
Yeah.
I'm going to go to Jan now because I had to mute her because of the feedback.
Yeah. When I lived in Flint in North Wales, they had 5 different bin days for 5 different things. The Central Borders have food waste caddies. We don't. You know, you've had that for ages. You've had that for nearly 2 years, I would say, or even more than that. And none of us get the choice of that at all. We would love that.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
Central Borders gets everything first. And if it's brilliant,
well, I think it was a pilot, and yeah, and I agree, and I accept what you're saying, Jan.
I was just wondering, does anybody know when the glass recycling, the recycling centre? The last time I went, it was still cordoned off.
I don't know. The glass recycling at the recycling centre.
No, the bottle bar, the bottle. Yeah, it's still cordoned off.
There's one as well that's still full.
And the one at the swimming pool is just getting totally used by everybody, and everything else is available over recycling. The
one at the swimming pool is full.
Oh, it's all full, yeah.
There are problems with pickups of glass recycling though, because that's an industrial process that depends on that company, and the company's had lots of problems during lockdown. So it may be out with SBC's control that the banks aren't being emptied.
Well, I just wondered, I mean, I use the one at Morrison's because I shop in there and there's never a problem there. It's always
I'll report
full.
that.
Yeah.
I'll report that it's full.
Yeah.
And I'll ask about the bottle bank at the recycling centre.
It's cordoned off, yeah. Mm-hmm. Just asking.
Okay. I will. I'll raise that.
Right. Okay.
Thanks, James, for letting me do my wee bit.
You tried, Helen. You tried. I did this morning. Right. I'm just gonna, because Donald's not here. I don't know if he's forgotten or if he didn't get on or what. Harbour, the development works to get rid of the big boat. You'll see the Harbour Trust has on their website, and they've put out all the information about the works that's coming up, and they're looking at what that site could possibly be in the future. I was hoping Donald would be here to give us a bit more of a detailed sort of idea of where they want to go with it. And I know that the bigger project, having a big glass building there, it was felt that it was a bit too much, and the feeling in the town was knock down the eyesore, open that area up, and do something more fitting and in keeping with the area, like little pods for little pop shops and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not sure where we're at with that. But hopefully next time.
I've already seen this week. This week they've already said, I bet you it's nothing to do with fishing. So they're all starting to complain again and start like rumouring what we're going to do, you know. So
just block them. Spend my life blocking people. So we'll get a report for that. But if you want any more info, Christine for the Harbour, she's quite good at answering questions, and if there's anything needed, she's good for coming up with everything. So with that, that's the shortest community council meeting in history. Look at that.
Can I just ask again about the nets that are still up at the point, James? A lot of people are commenting on them. They're very much eyesore and they're getting trailed out. And I don't know, I thought you said that it was temporary.
Yes.
And I think a lot of them, I was told, I don't know how exact this is, but a lot of them are from boats that are no longer probably there or in the harbour. And maybe it could be, you know, they've just been stuck there, and they're taking up areas of car parking space as well.
Yeah, I'll phone Christine because I know that it was temporary, but I think things just sort of drag on.
Yeah, the whole area down there is quite bad actually.
I'm back at the harbour, they're moving everything. So yeah.
The road flap, you know, I think it's probably going to attract maybe rodents and stuff because folk are chucking their litter doing up there as well when the bin gets filled.
Yeah, that's one of the problems when things are getting moved around, other people just chuck stuff on, so.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Coronation Street starts in 5 minutes, James.
Oh, you're going to get to see Coronation Street. Is there anything else from anybody else? And hang on, I've got you muted.
Some folk are asking where the electric points are for the cars because they've been moved out of the car.
James raised this with me and I can't remember where we got with that, James, but I did make some inquiries. I think I sent that back to you, didn't I? See if I can find it.
I think the last we spoke, it was ask SBC if we can use one of their PowerPoints up at the contact centre.
I'll need to find where that is, Jan, but I did make some inquiries about that, and I think
right, sorry Lucy, what did you say?
Someone said the one at the contact centre was out of order.
Right, that's what I have done. Okay. We need to sort of pin that down.
Okay, I'll chase that up.
Right, okay. Is that us? Everybody happy? go home. Jan's away for a walk to get the boys. Lovely.
James, can I come in?
Oh, yep. Hello.
Yep. It was just to say that I think with the electric charger, they are having problems, and they are well aware because it's supposed to go on Manx Road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I've had a few people ask me, and they are well aware that there's a problem, and they are doing what they can. And I said to them I'd give them a couple of weeks before I got back in touch again.
Yes, Scott Fraser, wasn't it?
Yeah, that sounds right. It was something to do with the size of the main cable, wasn't it? It wasn't for the area they wanted.
Yeah,
Anyway.
but I feel it's really important because, you know, there are quite a few people now with electric cars. I will keep going, and I'm sure between Helen and I we can see what
we'll chase that up.
Yep, that'd be appreciated. Right, is that it again? Thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks,
everybody.
Enjoy Coronation Street.
Bye.
Bye.
And well done, everybody, for doing that.
Thank you.